Hello, YouTube. Mahadeva, Michael William Denney, the Thunder Wizard. In case you're wondering, if I only identify as Michael William Denney, it means that I'm about ready to channel Mahadeva. If I'm identifying as Mahadeva and Michael William Denney, it means that I'm here myself, but I'm in teaching mode. And so I'm open to listening to what comes through me, in case you guys are trying to figure out this new scenario that I am also trying to figure out. So today I want to talk to you about a concept I introduced a while back in the Escaping the Matrix videos that I talked about a lot. And somebody had asked a question specifically about this. And somebody asked a question and they were trapped in this. And so it got me thinking about these fear time loops that we get into. So again, I'm still processing the new downloads that I've been getting having to do with how everything works in the universe regarding incarnations and the law of attraction and how to achieve our greatest life. Listen, bottom line of all this for me, as interesting and fun and entertaining as it is to talk about multiple dimensions and timelines and spirituality and whatever you're into, for me the bottom line is, does it make my life better? Like, practically make my life better? Or is it just an escape? Nothing wrong with that, I guess. Is it just entertainment? Nothing wrong with that, I guess. Or is it something that people use to justify being trapped in their misery? So anything that I teach, from my perspective, is completely focused on the practical reality of making my life better. And if my life doesn't get better, if I don't get healthier and happier and more prosperous, then it doesn't matter what you believe. Belief is meaningless. This is what religious people have. Religious people have faith, but they don't, not all of them, but many of them have, just really horrible lives. But they take this, they take a lot of comfort in the thought of some belief that they have, but they don't do anything to change the quality of their life at the moment. And I want to be clear about something that I believe. People lots of times want to ask me about the afterlife and what's it going to be like when we're out of the body, and in the next life can I do this, and if I can just escape this life. And I say, so in your life, are you happy or are you miserable? Because if you're miserable, guess what? You're going to take that misery into the next world that you go to. This isn't like, getting out of here, out of Earth, or out of the Matrix is somehow going to fix the problem that you have. You're still going to be you. And what I'm trying to help people understand is it doesn't matter where you are. You can make anything amazing. You can make any world that you're living in amazing. Any reality, any situation. I've got people on both sides of me. I live in a house, and there's a house right over there, and there's a house over there. And I don't know them or, the kind of reality that they have, but that could be a whole different universe over there of pain and misery. And that over there, they could be even happier than me. They could have created their own beautiful happiness. For me, my life is pretty damn good. Even with all this lockdown, nothing has really changed. The only thing that's happened, if I'm honest, is that I automatically got an increase in my finances simply because the Australian dollar dropped. It's now down to 60 cents on the US dollar. I get 40% off of everything. And I didn't do anything. I just was here. I'm just here living my life, and my life got better. The CEO of Zoom, it has made billions as a result of everybody having, the whole world having to go and do things virtually online, have online meetings. Did the lockdown make his life worse or better? It's all about perspective. So before I get into the matrix and all that other stuff and the fear loop, I want to recap the new information that I've been receiving. So the new information that I've been receiving is that when the soul, and it doesn't matter to me if it's your soul or the collective soul of the world, I don't care how you look at it. We'll make it about you. When your soul came into existence and decided, and by I mean came into existence, decided to incarnate in human form. When your soul made the decision to do that, it did so because it had an unquenchable desire to experience reality. Because before then it just lived in this bliss of eternity. So it wanted to experience limitation, which is reality, which is, feelings and stimulation and all that. So it exploded into infinite numbers of timelines. The theory behind that is that, according to physics, that there has to be infinite numbers of timelines, and that anything that you can imagine has to exist. So obviously even things you can't imagine has to exist. There's an infinite number of realities that your soul is existing in at any given time. In the beginning, when your soul exploded into existence, it went into infinite numbers of what I'm calling fragmentary timelines. And then in that timeline, the soul could be experiencing all kinds of different things. So if you can imagine a reality where you're king of the world, that has to exist. There is a reality where you are king of the world. And if you can imagine a reality where you are, homeless and penniless and you live in misery, then that exists for you in another timeline. And so in each one of these timelines, the soul gets to experience the range of human three-dimensional limited experience. Okay, does that make sense? Each one of those timelines has its own matrix, has its own Maya. And the rules are the same. Matrix, space-time, is like this screen of life force energy that creates your reality. It's like a hologram. It creates your reality. And that life force energy matrix has been designed by you to respond to you in two general ways. In the first way, it responds to your trust. When you trust the universe and you adjust your frequency to your soul, the matrix must give you the resources necessary to accomplish your desires. It has to. It's here to serve you. If your soul is playing around with wanting to experience the other extreme of lack, misery, pain, illness, poverty, sadness, insanity, whatever it is, then the matrix is designed to respond to you by withholding luck, which means that you experience all this bad luck and you have this experience that there's nobody out there, that God doesn't love you and that people are evil and everybody's out to get you. And it starts to snowball, and you create this snowball effect, which is what I call a fear time loop. So those are the two extremes. You're either stimulating the matrix to give you good stuff and to align you towards your truest happiness, or you're stimulating it to back off and say, I'm not going to give you anything, and you end up experiencing all this bad juju, and I'm not minimizing it. Some of it is really, really bad. So the answer is the same in both. You choose to trust. And now, just because, like, if you're in the worst possible scenario you can imagine, it's likely that just because you've chosen to trust, that may immediately open up all kinds of opportunities that have been waiting for you. But more often than not, it means it's going to take some time for you and some discipline to continue to keep thinking positively, for that to start to adjust your frequency to a higher place. So let's talk about that. The one thing that I've learned is I've been teaching that the way to get the universe to respond is to take action regardless of your feelings. I still believe that. That's still completely true. But that is how I function. And and when I'm talking with my clients and they're telling me about how much fear they have and all the stuff that's going on, and I understand, I know how hard it is when you're so trapped in your intense feelings, your fear, your anxiety, your whatever it is, that it's really, really hard to get out of that. And so people want to know, when am I going to feel better? When am I going to feel confident enough to go and do what I've just realized I'm supposed to do? What happens is I help people come to understand what their true desire is, and they realize that, and then they wrestle with how to take action to make it happen. And a lot of times I hear people say, well, I'm not qualified for that yet, or I'm not prepared for that, or I don't feel that I have it, I doubt myself. And I say, I don't care about that. I only care about the actions that you take. And that's just me. It's like, I don't know what else to do. I can't control my feelings all the time. I can't make myself feel positive when I'm not feeling positive. I can't make myself feel confident if I'm feeling, doubtful. I can't just do that all the time. But the one thing I do have control over is the actions that I take. So if I know that what I need to do is start a YouTube channel, even though I don't know how it's done and I don't feel confident and I don't know what people are going to say, then I just take action regardless of how I feel, because I know that's the only thing I have any control over. That's me. But what I've been hearing is that the idea is that you need to adjust your frequency to your highest soul frequency. And that is what makes you happy. Taking actions, disciplined, repeated actions, adjust your frequency, not your feelings. I'm not saying feelings, I'm saying frequency. This is where the law of attraction gets it wrong. It wants to focus on your feelings and your thoughts. Your thoughts and your feelings are random, and they are reactions. So trying to adjust your feelings is mental and emotional masturbation. Doesn't accomplish anything. What does accomplish something is changing your frequency to align with your higher master soul frequency. Okay? So I'm trying to give you a background of all this stuff, and I'm mixing in a bunch of different things. So the soul explodes into infinite directions. There's infinite numbers of fragment soul timelines, and each one of those fragments of you in these different timelines is seeking to adjust its frequency. It's also seeking to have experiences, and then when it's done having an experience, like when it's done being miserable, then it goes, okay, this isn't fun, I'm done with this now. And then you start thinking more positively about trusting. The reason why I come down on people who are in victim mentality mode is because they're not ready to give up that experience. They're pretending like they are. And I know that they're in pain, but they're complaining about this happening and what these people do and what those people do, and these people are controlling us and those people are enslaving us and we have to do something. That's the soul wanting to experience misery. And so I just don't buy into the drama, because that's what it is. It's just they're play acting this drama of, they're doing it to us and we have to escape. And it's like, all you have to do to escape is just simply change the choice of what you want to believe in yourself and the universe. That will change it. I was talking with somebody yesterday who has gone through things I can't even begin to imagine. And this person is, one of the most positive minded persons I've ever known. Not in denial, but, this person just says, there's just nothing to be gained by dwelling in it and feeling sorry for yourself. There's just nothing to be gained. And changing the way that you view things and choosing to see positive ways out is really the only option that you have. And I'm listening. This isn't one of my students. I didn't teach this person this. I'm just listening, nodding my head and smiling. And that's somebody whose soul went and experienced misery and then went, okay, I know what that feels like. I'm done with that now. And now I'm going to move on to adjusting my frequency towards my highest soul frequency. Those aren't the words that this person used, but that's exactly what they meant. So that's why I just don't buy into it. I won't do it. And people get really bent out of shape when I won't co-sign their victimhood. I won't do it. So, fear time loop, that's what we were here to talk about. So what ends up happening is it turns into this snowball effect. And the snowball effect starts with, first what happens is you make a choice on how you believe. You may not even realize that you made a choice, but you made some kind of limiting choice out of fear. You're not going to get what you want, or somebody doesn't love you, or the universe doesn't love you, or something like that. And so you chose to make a belief about the universe, that the universe isn't fair, that we live in, like, this is why I hate Gnosticism. Gnosticism is such a pussy religion because it separates, the evil earth with the good spirit. And all it is denial. They're trying to run away from their real human feelings into some ethereal perfection where everything is blissful. And while that sounds really nice, they're running away from the three-dimensional reality that they live in. And so Gnosticism creates this when we die and go to the true heaven. That's where Christianity got that. It came from Gnosticism. And Gnosticism came from a victim mentality. It's a victim mentality that created a religion that's looking for a savior, the Messiah, coming to save you. It all comes from victim mentality. Now, people went through whatever pain they were going through because the Romans were doing whatever the hell they were doing. And so they chose to keep believing that they were enslaved, that they were limited, that life was miserable, that life is pain. They just continued to keep believing that. And that creates a fear virus loop. Keeps you stuck in that, and it starts to snowball. The way it snowballs is the matrix, life force energy, is designed to respond to your beliefs. If your belief is one of fear and negativity and enslavement, then what ends up happening is that the universe continues to create that, which then stimulates you and says, see, I was right. This place is horrible and evil. And then the universe goes, okay, if that's what you want, go for it. And you have more horrific, evil things happen. You say, see, that's what I was saying earlier. Things are horrible. And it just snowballs from there. So the thing to do is, as it's snowballing, you're going down a certain path and sort of, gravity is sort of pulling you in faster and faster and faster. You choose to change how you believe. And first it starts to slow down, and then slowly it'll start reversing. But it's like trying to slog uphill in the mud for a while. It's going to take a lot of discipline. And those are the people that end up making it. I don't know if maybe I tried to say too much at one time, but anyway, I'll see if there are any questions here. So, it does look like there are some questions. Riho Rasta question, can you please compare the 3 north directions versus the 3 south directions? So Riho Rasta is talking about the thunder wheel. In case you're not familiar with the thunder wheel, let's see if we can find it on here. I got so much stuff in here. Gotta clean all this out. Where is my thunder wheel? There's my rune wheel. Thunder wheel. No, thunder wheel. All right, so you don't see it on there, but there's the 9 worlds are there, the 8 directions. And so I'm assuming he wants to know the 3 directions of the northwest, the north, and the northeast, and comparing them to the southwest, the south, and the southeast. I don't know why Riho wants to compare them. That would help me, but the short answer is that the top of the circle represents higher centers, and the bottom ones represent lower centers. The subconscious, the unconscious, and the root. And the top is the higher self, the crown chakra, and then the fully beyond. High. I'm pointing above my head now. So that's the short answer. I'm tired because I just got back from surfing, so I really don't want to try and hyperanalyze it. But the bottom line is, it's just like, top and bottom. Higher centers versus lower centers. Rio Rasta question: my girlfriend is afraid of thunder. Where could this be coming from? I don't know. It's just, I don't know that there's anything very deep about it. We're born with 3 fears. The 3 fears that we're born with are a fear of heights, a fear of fast-moving objects, and a fear of loud noises. Every other fear we have is learned. So she just has a fear of loud noises. She's just sensitive to that. That's my take on it. Becoming a magi with Donna Dance. Okay, that's not a question. Riho Rasta question: how to touch something energetically without touching it physically? Again, you're asking a big question. It all depends on what technique we're talking about. The short answer is you build up enough energy that your energy body can touch before your hand does. So it means that you're really filled with a lot of energy. So doing something like Tai Chi or Qigong for years and years and years, for hours and hours a day, that's how you build up that kind of power. It's just like any other kind of muscle. The more you flex it, the more you work it, the bigger and the stronger it gets. A Lauren question: how do you know when you've escaped the loop? If you're having to ask that question, you haven't escaped it. You know when you've escaped the loop when life does what you want. And, in the worst times like in this, I'm not asking all kinds of questions about how are we going to get out of this and how are we going to, gain our freedoms back. I'm not asking those questions because I don't have any of those problems. This is a worldwide problem, but it's not affecting me negatively at all. Yet, knock on wood, my life is better now than it was. So one could make the conclusion that I've escaped at least one of my fear virus loops. But if you're asking that question, then it's like asking, how do you know when you've escaped prison? I mean, when you're on the other side of that prison wall and there's no guard pointing a gun at you, you know you've made it. And then he says, I was stuck in a loop and aware of the loop. I made others aware of the loop. Why did you make others aware of the loop? And I don't know what that means. It's their loop isn't any of your business. Your only business is your loop. Things change. Those people are no longer in my life. Okay, is that it? All right. That sounds like it could be it. I don't know. Based on your question, there's a lot I don't know, but so far I can't find anything wrong with it. Lorena Greco question: can you talk about what working with Shakti is like? It's an interesting question. Again, the first question that I come up when I read questions is, what is it they really want to know? Everybody asks a question because there's something you want for yourself out of it. So, are you somebody who works with Shakti? And are we talking about the goddess Shakti, or are we talking about the energy Shakti? So everybody has Shakti within them, just like everybody has Chi within them. Chi is life force energy. If you want to work with life force energy, the easiest way is to do deep breathing. Movement and breath will move and create Chi force. Shakti is the emotional, psychological energy of consciousness within the spinal column. And the Shakti is feminine. And so the feminine has to do with creating illusion in three-dimensional reality. That's what Shakti wants to do. It wants to create. So again, I don't know what you mean by working with Shakti. I mean, are you trying to work with Shakti the way that Tai Chi master works with Chi? Because it's not the same. You can't play with Shakti that way. You can stimulate it, but Shakti has a direct connection to your psychological awareness. It's not like an energy that you can play with, like, Tai Chi or, a Chi ball. It's not that kind of an energy. It has everything to do with your awareness. So it's not really something you play with or work with. So I don't know the question. You may have a false assumption about what Shakti is. And so your question may be coming from that. All right, so again, if you're new to the channel, looks like Alivaria. Oh, she was writing a question here. Okay, so question changed to theory, so that's what that is. So question, what if someone had lived through time loops, finding they remember more clearly after events happen? Again, I don't know what you mean by time loops. So you're taking time loops in a very sorry, I'm so tired. I just got back from surfing. In a very literal way. I'm not talking about time loops being stuck in the same day over and over again. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being stuck in a loop of continuing to create negativity that you can't get out of it. So it's like living, you are on an unconscious level, you don't move. You're in the same time frame. This is why working with the unconscious is so important, because if you're trapped in a trauma that happened to you when you're 4 years old, then even if you're 80 years old, on an emotional level, you're still 4. Pieced it together. He wasn't the little kid anymore. And he before I was born, he was the baby, and he got all the attention from my mom and dad and all that. And then I was born, and I was the baby of the family, and then he didn't get any more attention, and he hated me. As long as I can remember, my older brother has just always hated me and has always blamed everything on me. And I was thinking about it, I was 40 something, and I was thinking about, why is he acts like a 4-year-old. What happened to him when he was 4? Oh, I was born. He's never gotten out of it. He's still 4 years old. If you were to talk to him, he emotionally perseverates like a 4-year-old. So the unconscious mind doesn't move out of a timeline. Emotional, if you want to get out of something, you let go. That's why I say drop it. Drop the fear. Drop the resentment. Drop it. Just drop it like a rock and move on. Because holding on to it keeps you trapped in a time loop in your unconscious mind, and you keep reliving it over and over and over again. So you're talking about remembering things more clearly after events happen. How does one know what they remember was true? You're trying to get me to go into some literal time loop thing that's not what I'm talking about. I appreciate the question, but that's not where I'm coming from. Joe01 question, regarding Middle Earth and the 8 realms, what keyword should I search for in the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel? Regarding Middle Earth, or you're talking about, so type in Yggdrasil, type in 9 worlds, type in alternate dimensions. any synonyms associated with 9 worlds, 9 dimensions, alternate dimensions. That's what you should put in there. It's a great question. In case you don't know, you're new to the channel, the best way you can make use of my channel is to learn how to search within the channel. If you don't know how to do that, figure that out. Just going to the top and typing something into the top bar will search all of YouTube. You won't find anything on my channel when you do that. You have to figure out on your device how to find the thing to search within somebody's channel, and then type in whatever keywords you want. And then you can binge watch all of the videos on my channel and learn what I teach so that I don't have to repeat myself, unless I want to, of course. Saturn's Guru question: how much time do you spend on learning things like YouTube algorithms, ranking, tags, Chrome extensions to grow your channel? Isn't that spiritual work in a sense? How much time do I spend? As much time as I need. I haven't logged it. Right now I'm in a phase where I'm really focused on making my channel work. So, I watch a few videos. It's really more about I watch what my channel does. Instead of putting time into researching it, I put a little time into researching it. And the rest of my time, as you see, is done just putting out as many videos as I can. As you can see, I'm putting out a bunch of different kinds. In fact, there's 2 or 3 series that I've started that I've stopped. And the reason why I've stopped after the first 2 is because there hasn't been any views. So I'm not going to waste my time. If it doesn't get any views, I'm not going to waste my time on it. The ones that get the views, that's what the channel wants. That's what the channel's going to get. So your next question, isn't it spiritual work in a sense? What you're really telling me, Saturn's Guru, is that you have a channel and that you are doing a lot of time studying things like YouTube algorithms and things like that. And you're wanting me to tell you you're a good boy. You're doing your spiritual work by building your channel. That's really not a question. You're wanting a pat on the back. So good for you, my friend. You're following your spiritual path by building your channel. Average Joe question: is Mahadeva the same entity as the entity with the Indian accent you channeled last year? You already asked me that question. Same answer as what it was before. The answer is no. As far as I know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Lorena Grecu: when I said Shakti, I meant the goddess. Okay, so what is it like working with the goddess? Well, that's a good question, because astrologically speaking, which goddess are we talking about? Because Shakti has so many different faces. And this is why it's really important to get a qualified astrological reading to know which goddess is the best one for you to work with. Like for me, I love Kali. I don't work with Kali, but I love Kali. And I love talking about her, and I love explaining what she means and what she does. The reason why I don't work with her is because a while back I did, before I knew anything about Vedic astrology, I did this whole Kali mantra ritual vow. And everywhere I went, forest fires broke out. And I could smell smoke everywhere I went. And so much so that it was coming out of my nose. And everywhere I went, I smelled fire and I smelled smoke. And I was married at the time, and I said, would you smell the breath coming out of my nose? And I breathed up my nose and I said, what does it smell like? She says, it smells like smoke. I don't know what the hell was going on. I thought I had like a brain tumor or something. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But that was because I was doing this Kali mantra, and Kali is Saturn. And Saturn is very strong in my chart and helps me in all kinds of ways, but it's not something that I need to be doing a ritual to. So I work with Venus Shakti, and I work with Mars Shakti, because in my chart, those planets are wanting to help me in all kinds of ways. So Shakti in general, that's just too general for me, unfortunately. So it doesn't inspire me to go into that right now. But I appreciate the question. Jamie Turner question. After a few sessions of practicing your celestial qigong, my meditation became extremely powerful and I started to remember my past life. How do I heal from all my bad karma? You adjust your frequency to your highest soul frequency. So let's get into that. I wanted to get into that. I'll repeat it again. You have infinite numbers of fragmentary timelines, and your soul has fragments in each one of these infinite numbers of timelines. And when the soul fragment in each timeline, which could last thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years, when the soul learns its lesson and figures out what it wants, and it adjusts its frequency towards the master soul frequency in the center, then it stops incarnating in that timeline and it is absorbed by another soul fragment that is closer, to the center timeline. You experience that in your timeline when you're going through your life and you have these big experiences of awareness, and you feel like, I just became woke. I just had this huge spiritual awakening. And what happened is that one of your other fragmentary souls has adjusted its frequency to a higher frequency, and your soul has basically merged with that, and your soul has expanded, and you have this greater spiritual awareness. And so then ideally what you want to do is to attract yourself to the master soul essence. The master soul essence is your higher self. And your master soul essence jumps into different timelines to help you, as a fragmentary part of itself, adjust its frequency towards itself. So from the perspective of the master soul essence, it's meditating all the time, and it is seeking to attract to it all the rest of the fragments. And when all of the fragments of the souls in different timelines come together into the master soul essence, then it achieves its highest awareness, and I don't know what happens after that. We'll find out later. So healing from bad karma. You don't have to spend time healing from bad karma. You don't have to do that. Just focus on adjusting your frequency to your highest awareness. This isn't a universe of punishment. You don't get punished for bad karma. Bad karma is just negative experience. All you've had is you had a negative experience. Karma means the law of action and reaction. You step on a piece of glass, you're going to cut yourself and it's going to hurt. You can say, oh, I made a mistake, but it was an action that you take. If you act out of fear, you act out of ways that take you away from your higher soul frequency, then you're going to have a negative, unpleasant experience. That's it. So if you don't want any more, what you're asking, healing from bad karma is my brain doesn't go there. Feeling better and getting closer to your ideal spiritual self, that's a more positive way of looking at it. Don't spend time healing stuff that's already happened. Focus on vibrating yourself on a higher level. Okay? I hope that answers your question. Saturn's Guru suggestion. I appreciate that, but I'm not coming onto your channel. When you want to put on your channel how to make a better YouTube channel, I will come and ask you questions. Okay? So I appreciate the suggestion, but I'm not looking for that right now. Lorena Greco question, can I get an astrological reading if I don't know the exact time of my birth? No. If you know within 15 minutes, we can get pretty close. But, you can take a guess, but that's pretty much what it is. But you can go and get an astrological birth rectification. It's called birth. Here, I'll put it down here for you. Vedic birth rectification. You can go get a Vedic birth rectification, and then what'll happen is they'll ask you a bunch of questions, and they'll figure out what your exact time is, and then you can get a reading. All right, let's see here. Sandra Lavini, question. I'm worried about the economic downturn from the virus. I can understand that. I have long been fearful of such issues, and here they are. There is a link in there that escapes me. Can you shed light on this? I've given you two examples, and I'm sure there's many more, of how this economic downturn has been a blessing. For me, it's helped me because it's kept me in the place that I want to be in, and it's increased my income. I mean, I've got a 40%, it's like I got a 40% raise just by being here, and just because of this economic downturn. Because I'm in Australia, the US dollar now has more value. So hasn't hurt me yet. The CEO of Zoom is making billions. So it all starts with you. You say in here, I'm worried about the economic downturn, and I have long been fearful of such issues. So now you have a justification to be afraid. So your response to that is to go inward and stay more afraid, take less action, which will create more financial stress and possibly less money for you. Whereas me, when things like this happen, I go, how can I use this to make more money? Because there are people making money off of this, like I said. I wish that I had stock in toilet paper companies right now. For the strangest reason, there's no reason for it. Everybody's buying up all the toilet paper. They're not buying up all the water, but they're buying up all the toilet paper. So, my response to you, Sandra, is the problem isn't now. The problem was the fact that you were focused on your fear. And I just know that as long as I'm attuning myself to the frequency of my soul, as long as I'm doing that, no matter what happens in the world, I prosper. And it's not like I have to plan it out. Just trusting the universe. So the bottom line was, Sandra, you didn't trust the universe. You were worried. The assumption in your long fear of an economic downturn, is just a choice to believe that the universe does not want to take care of you. Because if you believe that the universe wants to take care of you all the time, as long as you follow what you're supposed to be doing from what your soul wants to do, then it doesn't matter what happens. That's always been the case with me. In 9/11, when 9/11 happened, it happened when I was up in the mountains backpacking in the wilderness. So I never got to be there watching, the television while planes were crashing into the Twin Tower. I never had to watch that. It's because the universe has always been that way. It takes me out of all that stuff. So the thing to do is just to stop indulging in fear, adjust your frequency to what you want, and take action on your joy. I think we're going to be fine. I know people have lost their jobs and other things like that, but I think we're going to be fine. I mean, this thing is going to come to an end. Unfortunately, places like the United States don't have the ability and the sense to really lock themselves down. Here in Australia, people are more comfortable with the idea of the government coming and telling you what to do, because they're not Americans. Americans hate being told what to do. So it's really impossible to pass any kind of laws, quarantining people and all that. But here, and I'm in a really low risk part even of Australia, but there's still all these rules in place and it's working. It's slowly starting to take effect. I forgot what my point was. I'm so tired right now. So the link that you're looking for that escapes you is just stop indulging in fear and start trusting. That's it. It's my experience anyway. Okay, Olivaria, you have an assumption here. So you're explaining, I was just trying to learn how to separate my past self that was trapped. That's an assumption. And I don't know what you mean by separate. I mean, are you trying to separate yourself from your past self, or are you trying to reunify it? You're, you're, this is the thing about soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is a way of looking at things, but it has an assumption that your soul is lost somewhere. It's not. You are there. Wherever it is that you're trapped, you are there. It's not like it's happening somewhere else. The way to retrieve your past self is to focus on adjusting your frequency to your greatest happiness and take action towards it. That will pull all the rest of your things together. We really focus on the negative. And again, the way that that's phrased, it creates a scenario for you to justify feeling trapped and feeling disconnected and having a part of you that's, all that negative stuff. It just doesn't serve you. It just, yeah. I think that's it. Thank you for your wisdom. Help me know I shouldn't. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's not a question either. All right, so I'm running out of. Who should we talk about here? What can we talk about? I don't know that I have anything. I guess I'm just too tired. It's time for me to go. Time for me to go take a nap and wait for my masseuse to show up. So that's it for me. As always, subscribe, hit the bell button. Lockdown.thunderwizard.com still in effect until things start turning around, which I think they will start turning around. Maybe not tonight or tomorrow, but pretty soon. A question just jumped in here. Charhi question. Does surfing help you mentally? I don't understand the question. It helps me in every way. Mentally, the word mentally, I don't know where that's coming from. Is there a Zen or meditative state while riding a wave? So you mean on a meditative level? The answer is yes. When the waves are good and I'm surfing a good wave, or if it's a big wave, what ends up happening is that everything goes into this Zen experience, and it's the weird kind of thing where it's like if you have a really good ride for a long time and you're doing all kinds of stuff and you're really in the zone and you're connected and you and the wave have a relationship. As soon as you kick out of the wave, you're like, what just happened? Lots of times it's frustrating, and I wish I had somebody to film me, because then I could relive the wave. I know that was a really good wave, but I don't remember anything that happened because I was so in the moment. I wasn't recording it and remembering it. So that's why I do it. But even when the waves are bad, like today the waves weren't all that great, but even getting out there in the water, in the salt water cleans off your aura, and being in the sun, and just being on the board and paddling is sort of like a yogic posture, what they call the cobra posture. It opens up the heart center, so I'm always happier afterwards. I get sometimes a little tired and cranky, but then afterwards, for the next 2 or 3 days, I'm usually pretty happy, and I start enjoying and appreciating my life even more. So helps me in all those ways. Cameron Mack question: would it be accurate to say that Mahadeva exists out of space and time? If so, can this help you heal from your past easier than before? I wouldn't say that. It wouldn't be inaccurate. Mahadeva is the master soul frequency of me. And so you have these infinite numbers of fragmentary soul timelines, and in the center of all of these is the perfect frequency where my master soul essence came from and still exists, and that is my higher self. So him living outside of space and time isn't really the issue, although he probably does because he's constantly in a meditative state. Can this help me heal from my past easier than before? Well, my past is my past, and his past is his past. And what other fragments of me on different timelines, they have their own past. So him existing outside of time and space isn't what heals me. It's that he is attuned to the perfect vibration frequency for me. And again, this is another question about we have to go back in time and that we have to fix something that happened in the past. And it's not so much that we need to fix what's in the past. We fix the present, we fix the past. The way you fix the present is to drop the fear, drop the victim mentality, learn to trust, focus on your joy, and go after it. When you do that, you automatically adjust your frequency to align it to your highest self, which is in perfection. It lives in perfection. And so instead of worrying about what didn't work, focus on what does work. And focus on adjusting your frequency to your greatest happiness, and the rest will just disappear. It'll fix itself. I'm not saying that there aren't times to go back and look at things, because sometimes we're in denial. And there are some feelings that we need to feel and go through, and healing sometimes can be very painful. So as you know, I never tell people to deny their feelings. But this idea that somehow you're separated from your past is an illusion. If there was something that traumatized you in the past and you are still traumatized and hurt, you're still in the past. Not you have a past self. You yourself are still in the past. When I used to do exorcisms, and every time I did an exorcism, each one of those people had been mentally, physically, and or sexually abused by somebody. And before I could get the demon to leave, I had to get them to forgive whoever harmed them. And they would almost always resist that. They would say, no, I'm not going to forgive. And then the demon would come in and take over. And then I'd have to push the demon away so that I could get them back. I'd say, you don't have a choice. You have to forgive them, or this is going to keep happening. And then as soon as they would say, I'd say, I forgive so-and-so. And when they would say, I forgive Uncle so-and-so, then I could then cast the demon out. Now that didn't fix it, because then they would have to continue to, and I said, you're gonna have to go and get counseling, or go talk to your pastor or something like that. You're gonna have to start, cleaning your life up, stop taking drugs, blah blah blah. Otherwise, it'll come back. Now, what I didn't realize at the time was I was saying you have to put effort and discipline into shifting your frequency towards your highest self. And many times they didn't do that. And I learned, okay, these people don't want to get better. These people are running away from the pain of their abuse, and it's just easier for them to be victimized by a demon than it is to actually face the pain and the healing. So again, these ideas are two questions now saying the same thing. Going back and healing your past self. You are there. Your past self is you. I understand why you want to separate from your past self, because that is a survival technique. But you're no longer in that trauma. It's not happening to you right now. So you don't have to protect yourself from it. Go back and feel the pain and cry and go through the mourning. Just the sadness of, why was mommy so mean to me? I didn't deserve that. I'm sad. I loved mommy. Why did mommy do that to me? And then you heal. You heal yourself by giving yourself the right to be sad. And what we tend to do is we tend to shame ourselves for our feelings. So that's where the healing happens here. It doesn't happen back there. Does that make sense? And if you go after adjusting your frequency to your greatest joy, you end up having all those feelings. That's why I focus on that, because if you go after what you want, you'll end up having to deal with all that stuff. It'll come to the surface, and you'll have to let it go in order to move farther down the line. So the more that you focus on where you want to go instead of where you've been, the healing comes. Jamie Turner is telling people to get Celestial Qigong. Celestial Qigong is included in lockdown.thunderwizard.com. You can also just go to courses.thunderwizard.com and click on Celestial Qigong. All right, that's it for me. I'm tired. I need to eat, take a nap, get a massage, and then lie down. And I'll probably stream some recordings later on today. So if you're still up and you got nothing to do, I don't know if I'm going to do more manifestation or rune video stuff, but I'll have some more videos for you guys later on today. All right, that's it. Thank you. Talk to you guys later.